What's up, people? I paused like I'm expecting an answer or something and realized, yeah, it's sort of like a one-way communication here. So welcome back to Dave's Man Cave. I know I keep saying I'm not going to get more watches, and I keep pointing out that I say I'm not going to get more watches, and then yet I get more watches, and I got another watch, and I outgrew the giant case of 24, and so now I've had to go and bring out the first case that I bought that I outgrew. So I put my nicer watches in this one, and then all my Casios and G-Shocks and some of the Paganis and stuff in the other ones, and keep all my Tissot, Citizen, Seiko, Bulova, Orient, and now I finally got a Victorinox. And I've been a huge fan of their knives forever, although what's in my pocket? Leatherman, but normally have a Victorinox. I look at their watches and they seem to be really nice. So I was like, you know what? Let me go pick one up. There's this place. They give me nothing. I'll just give them a free plug. Domi, D-O, or Demo. It's either Domi or Demo. Google one of those. Up in Gainesville. It's a weird building because it's not in the best area, but the building looks all nice and new and almost like a castle. It's really kind of out of place, but you go in there, it's really nice. And they've got really good service, and they have a fantastic selection. Like, they have a big watch selection. So they've got Rolex, Tag, Omega, Raymond Weil, Tissot, Luminox, Victorinox, a lot of Seikos, a bunch of Citizens, and then some other, I mentioned Omega, what's the other? Oh, Breitling. I mean, they got a bunch of legit brands in there. So anyway, I wanted a Victorinox. I've always been happy with their knives and stuff. Carry them almost every day. And I wanted to go look at one of their watches, and I almost got one the other day. Ended up going somewhere else and getting my Marine Star Bulova. I just love that cool orange dial. But I was like, something about this. It's a 42-inch, so it's kind of meeting my minimum standards. But at the same time, it is... what do I want to say? It's weird because it's almost like a field watch. I mean, it looks at first like, oh, almost like a dive watch, but that bezel doesn't turn at all. It's just giving you the minute markers. You've got your day, you have your date, and then a second hand. I mean, it's more like a field watch, but it's kind of like a cross between a field watch, like my Veyer or Bertucci. It's kind of like a cross between that and a diving watch. It's kind of a weird thing. So it's a 42 millimeter, but because the bezel is so small, you get a really nice size display. Even though the watch is slightly smaller, the dial's not. And we can compare that to some of my dive watches in a minute once I get this stuff out of the way. You know, it's a typical Swiss Victorinox. Over-engineered, just like their knives. Good quality, good attention to detail. The finishing on this, hopefully 4K is picking it up. Really nicely finished, screw-on back. It is not a screw-down crown. I do wish it was more than 100 meters of water resistance, but you know what? For most people, unless you're going jet skiing or really jumping in where water's hitting it force, you want to go swimming in the pool with this, or you're caught out in the rain, or you're hiking or doing something, you're going to be fine. You can go swimming with 100, especially with a Victorinox. They go through a lot of testing. They actually make sure that their stuff lives up to the specs of what it says. So we'll go ahead and take off this. We were able to get it sized because it has full lengths, and then it has a couple half lengths. So I think we took one of the half lengths out and like 3 full-size lengths. The only thing is it's a little bit like you got to fiddle with it because it's more of the butterfly clasp. So you got like the different halves as opposed to just one. You just swing it, slam it shut. That's got the extra piece. It's weird because let's see. Let's go ahead and pull out some other ones. We can do some size comparisons, and you can see what it is I'm talking about. You know, when you want to take off this, it's easy. Boom, put it on. You just snap it and move the flap, and it locks in. So this is going to be kind of more like my Orient. No, because that one actually is still one-sided. It's not both sides. It just looks like it, but it goes on and off really fast like that, which I like. Problem is no micro adjust. That really is a pretty watch, by the way. That Orient is awesome. One of my favorite watches, especially because it's under $200, and it's an automatic. Just a beautiful watch. Made by Seiko, same company. So this one has, it's weird because you've got the butterfly clasp, but then there is the safety clasp. So it's a little bit more secure than just having the buttons, where sometimes you go to move your watch and you push one button, but you torque it at a certain angle and it pops open. Here it does have that extra little bit, right? So that's kind of cool. You get that cool, nicer, more high-end, more dress kind of look, but you get a little bit of the stronger, more utility, that you might get out of, your regular bigger clasp. The only real advantage here is that you've got micro adjusts. In fact, that one's got 5 of them. You can really fine tune that. This big surface looks nice, but it's easy to kind of get scratched up and stuff. I kind of like how these look. It is a little skinny here, but we did get it sized just right. It's got just a little bit of room there. So if I'm retaining water, you can keep your jokes aside. Everybody retains water. It's not just a chick and PMS thing. If I go having sushi tonight, a whole bunch of soy sauce and sodium, my hands are going to swell tomorrow. And my wrist, I can feel the difference in the watch, right? Or you're dehydrated, and so you're losing water, and then all of a sudden your watch is flopping around. This is right where I could go a little bit tighter, I could go a little looser. They actually got it sized perfectly. So very nice. Size comparison, this is a 42, this is a 43, but it's a lot slimmer. And when you look at the size of the dials, and look how legible that is. I love this is like a kind of a muted blue. It's not the brilliant, bright, vibrant kind of blue that you see on there or that you see on the Seiko. Well, this one doesn't look that bright until the sun hits it, and then it's like, it pops. This is a more neutral kind of navy blue, but it's not a bright, shiny blue. It's actually just a really nice color. And you've got kind of a goldish tinge to the letters, or is that just a loop? No, it actually looks like a slightly, it doesn't look like the same. Maybe it is the same color. It's hard to tell in my room. In my office here, the lighting's not great. But you've got really good legibility. Sometimes you look at things and it's really busy, and it takes a second because there's so much going on in a small space to see the hands. That's got good visibility. This would be an example. This is a good example of pretty high visibility. And I love this Tissot. That's a big boy, though. I think that's a 45 or a 46. That's the Chrono XL. But that has a nice contrast, but I think it's because there's so much more space for it to spread everything out. Here, it's very busy. Now, these are great watches. These are both fantastic watches. That's a Tissot T-Race. They're about $600. This is like $4.25. That is a ProMaster Dive with the Eco Drive solar powered, 200 meter water resistance, and screwed out crown. All the crowns are screwed down, which is nice. Really good lume. It's just a fantastic watch, but it's a bit on the heavy side. And even though that watch is technically bigger, look at the face on them. The Luminox is cleaner. It's much more legible. It's easier to just glance and immediately know what time it is without having to, this just takes a second or two to kind of look at it more. That is just boom, right on. The numbers are clear. It's a lot of empty blue here, which is actually nice. It's sometimes refreshing to see something kind of just get back to the basics without having so much going on that they're trying to pack into an area that's only 1.25 inches across. It can get, kind of busy. When you go, I can wear this watch, but I know a lot of people don't want a watch that big. This lets everything kind of space out. So while there is the same amount of stuff, it's got 3 dials. It's got 3 dials. This has 3 dials. But I just have so much more room here. Everything's not piled on top of each other. And to me, that makes it look a bit cleaner, a bit easier to read at a glance and all of that. So that is the Victorinox. Let's just go some more up close stuff. Now, we'll say that clasp, if you were like taking a shower and your nails were soft, hopefully that'll wear in a little bit, because it's a bit of a nail breaker to pop that open. But I like that this is it stamped or machined? I don't know. When you look at other things, let's see this one. I'm guessing, Yeah, that one's more machined. So it's going to be more like that. So these things go for, depends, if you go to Joma Shop or something, if you can find them there, you can pick them up a bit cheaper. This was $480. And they have some that go up over 1,000, up to like 1,100. So it's not a cheap watch by any means, but it is sapphire crystal. It is 100-meter water resistance. I don't mind it being, oh, and so you've got your metal bracelet, but it uses quick disconnects. I don't know if you can see that. It's got quick disconnect pins, so I can pinch those and pop them out without tools and risking scratching anything. Very nicely done. Very nicely done. I never have to wind it. Just every, 3 years or whatever, you pop in a new battery, which is nice when you want to just kind of set it and forget it and not have to do anything. I keep a whole box of batteries and the tools and everything I need to change them out, so not a big deal, as opposed to my automatics that I have to take out every day and wind them or shake them a bit. Otherwise, at some point during the night, the power reserve runs down because I don't wear them every single day. I actually like the quartz. There's a Citizen. This was under $100. Similar bracelet, just beautiful. You can get a lot of money. You get a lot of watch for the money. If you want to cheap out but you want a name brand, go with a Citizen. Go with the Orient. You're getting a quality product. It's Japanese, movements and things like that. If you got a few extra bucks to spend and you want to step up to a Citizen, you want to get, the Tissot's. These are nice. That was $400. That was $600. The Seiko here, I think, is like $260 or $300. It's not that much. It's under $300. This was $380. That was $380. That was $225. I think $180. You can get nice watches for not a lot of money. This one out the door with taxes was $500. So of my watches, this was probably the second most expensive. I got an insane deal on a flash sale on Amazon and got it for almost half price. That was only $350 something. Normally those are $595 everywhere you go. So this was only slightly less than that. But it's just beautiful. That's just a beautiful, clean, the polishing is done. It's your typical Swiss, especially for a company like Victorinox. It is just a really nicely done bracelet. Brushed, polished, solid links. The side is nice and brushed. It's all uniform, but it's a polish around that crown, or I'm sorry, the bezel. I don't know if that's ceramic or whether it's aluminum. To me, it doesn't matter. It looks the same, so I don't know what the benefit of, saying it's ceramic versus an aluminum bezel. It looks the same and it's durable. I don't really care. But that is a really beautiful watch. I'm kind of careful with 42s because to me 42s can be a little small, because I look at this watch and you're like, oh, that's a 42 and a half, but because that's how big this is. But then you see how the bezel is a little narrower and the bezel's fairly wide. So then when you look at the actual screen real estate of how big the dial is kind of tiny. This watch is technically smaller, but the actual dial is way bigger than that. So that is my first Victorinox. That now fills out my nicer case of, at least in my collection. I don't have any high-end watches. I haven't gotten to that point in my collection. The next one I do want a Longines. There's a Conquest 43 mil. I just want, before I go spending $900 on a watch, I need to go try it on and see it face to face. And I haven't found anybody locally that carries that. It's a quartz watch. That's fine. The same watch in an automatic movement is like $1,700, and I don't want to spend that kind of money on it. I'm probably going to have to get a watch winder so that I can have my couple automatics just revolving and basically always keeping wound up without me having to wind them every morning. Or when I go to wear it, and resetting the date and all that. But you can have a nice collection. I don't know. There's probably $3,000 sitting here. It's not a lot. There's people that spend way more than that on one watch. So I wouldn't say I have a nice, like, high-end collection by any means. But I think between this and then all my G-Shocks, my Casio Duros, my Paganis, my Veyer, my Bertucci, a couple Invictas, I've got a whole nother box full of my sub $100, maybe sub $150 price watches, and these are all going to be above that. But this thing absolutely belongs in here. That is a beautiful watch. It's clean, it's light, it's fairly thin. So it looks rugged, and it is, it is pretty, I mean, it's all stainless steel, and it's it's Victorinox engineered, but it's not super big and bulky, and it doesn't weigh anything near like what this beast weighs, and it doesn't sit off your wrist that high. It's a nice watch. I like that sort of hybrid. It's a field watch by definition, but it kind of almost looks like a diver or sport watch. It just doesn't have a turny bezel. It's just a really nice watch. And I didn't think I was going to like these type of bracelets, but honestly, as soon as that stupid clasp kind of breaks in, yeah, it's starting to loosen up. It's just got metal nubbins, and over time they're going to rub on each other, and they're going to get easy. This one was the same. It's just it's bigger, so it was easier to get a thumbnail under it. But now it's a nice, easy. You can grab it with your fingernail. Comes off a little easy. This one's just a little bit stiffer, but that'll break in nice. But I love that. That is a beautiful, clean, and I don't think the video is really picking up the blue. It almost looks like a bluish gray, but in the sun it is blue, but it's not over the top bright, like almost like shiny, sparkling, iridescent blue like these guys are, which there's nothing wrong with that. These look great. Same thing with the Cano. In the red, it just, boom, comes out at you. This is more of a, not a matte finish, but it's just more of a muted, it's not an in-your-face color. It's just a really nice, I saw a video that said, this is a watch for people who aren't into watches. and I'm into watches, and I still love it. I think it's a great looking watch. So that's what we're wearing tonight. I have been wearing this guy a lot. These ones are the ones that are my nicer watches and tend to be higher in my rotation. Although I do wear my G-Shocks quite a bit. I wear this when I'm going to the office and I want just something really nice and very, very dress kind of watch. Just clean, beautiful, nice conversation piece. I do like this orange one a lot when I'm out driving around or just doing something. That orange, it's a nice size watch. It definitely grabs your attention and people are like, ooh, what is that? I've not seen one like that. That's just a really cool watch. This one's got a great story behind it. The whole Apollo 15 moon landing and the guy's Omega breaking. So he couldn't use his Omega, and Bulova had given him a prototype of this watch that was his backup watch that went out and did his moonwalk for 2 hours. Sold it a few years ago for $1.62 million. This thing, the Bulova, another nice dress watch for the office or going to a wedding or somewhere nice leather band. And look at that second hand. Smooth. These two right here have the same movement. Although this one doesn't have the second hand, but they're both using that 262 kilohertz or 262 hertz quartz, accurate to within 10 seconds per year. If you want to watch that accurate and you want a second hand that moves that smoothly instead of choppy, you got a spring for a Grand Seiko spring drive. You're going to spend what, at least $6,000 or something crazy for that? $250. So yeah, it's quartz and won't be an investment the way the Grand Seiko would, but still, that's a great watch. All these are good watches. This guy right here, Solar, very nice, classic, called a Weekender. Great little watch. This guy's good too. Man, you want to look sharp for less than $100 and have it look kind of sporty, but good enough to be a dress watch as well? Citizen, I got a video on that. Go check that one out. Really nice pearl white. Just very elegant, very classy, very sporty. 80 bucks, 84 bucks. Anyway, that's the Victorinox. I know I rambled a little bit. I tend to do that. I'm hungry. I'm getting hangry. So that fills out my nicer box. And then we'll see what other ones we're going to add. We're going to get a even nicer box that's going to start having like maybe a low-level Tog, Omega, maybe a Breitling. I doubt I'll ever get a Rolex. I just don't see myself, unless I just had a bunch of money fall my way and I was like, I'm going to treat yourself. I'm going to treat myself to like a $12,000 Rolex. I get the Explorer too. Or maybe a Submariner. I like both of those. But Victorinox, awesome. Knocked it out of the park. Beautiful, clean. That's what we're going to wear to dinner tonight. Everybody, have a good one. We'll talk to you next time.